Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Halaris Show. Well, I want to zoom out for a second, but before I do that, I'd be remiss not to talk about the car industry. I just have one question. I read online and in talking to you, if you worked in what is got to be one of the craziest industries in all of American capitalism, which is the auto dealership. And I was thinking about it the other day, like that is the worst consumer experience maybe of all time. Like going into a car dealer, even like I went like 7 years ago to buy a Jeep. I wanted to just buy something and not an expensive car and just pay cash for it. And they were so reluctant to meet for that transaction to happen that I still sat there for 3 hours. My whole goal was to get in and out of that car dealership in an hour. And yet, even if you're paying cash, it's 3 hours. What is wrong
No,
with the car
wait a
dealer?
minute. Not even if you're paying cash. It's because you're paying cash.
Right, that's fair because yeah, they want you to get the finance product. Like, can the why? I guess here's the question: why haven't we seen that business model change in the last 30 years?
Well, so this is a structural issue. And the problem is that all Ford dealers sell the same cars. So there's no difference. And they all pay the same price to Ford to get those cars. They all have the same costs. So the only way they can compete with each other is by locking in the customers when they come in. And I mean they can compete, they can advertise cheaper prices online or in the newspaper or on TV, but yeah, they have the same cost, so they have no advantage. They're just playing with the margin when they do that. And so when you come in, they have to lock you in, so you can't go shopping to the next Ford dealer to buy the same vehicle, and they'll give you $100 better deal, and you lose your deal. So the franchise system is protected by the state franchise laws. So the manufacturer cannot sell directly to consumers in the United States. So Tesla is an exception. It made a deal with a bunch of states, not with all states, but with something like 38 states, um, or it can sell direct to consumers. And it made those deals back when it was nothing, and when everybody knew for sure that EVs will never be anything and will never amount to anything, and Tesla will go bankrupt. And so they let it do that. And so now we have this auto seller in the United States, this manufacturer who sells directly to consumers and now sells the number two best-selling model, the Model Y, and just behind the F-Series pickup truck. And so it's gotten a big deal, and it doesn't have dealers, and it has a huge advantage in not having dealers because it doesn't it doesn't really have any competitors within Tesla. Ford has created all has 4,000 dealers that all compete with each other, and Tesla doesn't have that. So it doesn't have to jack around with price, and it doesn't have to lock in, because if you want a Tesla, you buy from Tesla, and then you pay the price that's online. Yeah, and with Ford dealers, some Ford dealers try to fix pricing where the prices are non-negotiable, and if you're not a huge dealer, you will lose sales because Americans like to get a deal. They like to negotiate, and so you see the same vehicle you offer for $39,000, maybe $5,000 of sticker price, and they go with this printed piece of paper to another dealer, and he says, "Yeah, I can beat that by $500," and that's how the system works. And Americans have gotten pretty good at playing it, and that's why it's so hard to get away from. Some big dealers like AutoNation and some others have gone to no haggle pricing. So you walk in, and the price that you see is what you pay, and you can't negotiate. That's the largest new vehicle dealer in the country, and so that has some impact. Others have followed. That's how the system is set up. When I ran a big car dealership, and the franchise system was something that always frustrated me. It's just really an outdated business model, but the dealer lobbies are very powerful, and they're in each state. They're organized, and they feel threatened by direct sales by their suppliers. The Ford is the supplier of Ford dealers. So if Ford starts selling direct to consumers, it's selling behind the dealer's back directly to the dealer's customers. And dealers are private individuals, that invested, and that's their business, and they want to protect it and want to make money and provide for their family and get wealthy doing that. And so they're organized to protect the franchise system. And each time an automaker tried to get around it, and they've all tried, they weren't able to. And so we're stuck with that. That's kind of unique. Other countries don't really have that system. And the result is that buying a car in the United States can be a huge hassle for consumers. You don't really know what you walk into. This idea that you have to finance at the dealership because dealership makes thousands of dollars when you do. So that's the profit center of F&I, finance and insurance. That's the biggest profit center a dealership has. There's three guys working in it, and it is generating huge amounts of money. And so they're not about to give that up. And if you pay cash, you you run into that resistance there. And of course, the best thing to do is to say, I'll finance. And you say, to every loan payment and then whatever interest rate and whatever insurance, to stick it all on there. And then after you walk out the next day, you cancel it all and pay cash for it. And you're done with it. And then they gave you maybe a better deal on the cash price. And because they knew they could make it up in F&I, and you just canceled all that stuff. And so, that's one way of dealing with it.
I'm going to try that next time I try to buy a car. I'm really glad I asked you that question because I just wasn't up to speed on the sort of regulatory landscape around the dealers, but it makes sense. And I, had noticed obviously that Tesla was selling DTC, but I didn't know the history, and that's fascinating because it's obvious. Like the future should be, you should be able to go on your phone and buy a car at the set price direct from the manufacturer. That's obviously how it should be.